If you would like your garden to look just as picture perfect as it did in the summer, this is the time for you to prepare your beds for the winter. And Kath Smyth is going to show us how. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You brought some friends. There are ladybugs here in the plants,
Yes.
which is good luck.
Yes, they are. They're good money.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're money.
I'm just going to turn this around
Yeah.
so our camera can
Can you
catch
catch
them.
them?
A couple of friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're setting things up for the winter. This is the time, right?
Yes.
We're almost at the
Yes.
overnight freezing mark.
Yes, we are. Actually, you can tell the geraniums have had freezing because they're starting to red on the leaves.
Right.
So I like to wait a bit before I start bringing them in, just because the ladybugs need to go somewhere and live. So the cold triggers them to go into the ground.
Okay, you
Even
want
though
that
my-
to happen naturally.
Yes. Last year I had ladybugs in my basement, though, so I kept worrying that they didn't have enough cover. So.
Oh, we're taking care of the plants and
Yes.
the ladybugs. Okay, so where do we begin here?
Well, I took apart a planter yesterday just to bring some things, and what I did was I pulled out my cordyline, which is a type of Dracaena, and it had such great roots, and it's so nice and strong. And next year I want my containers to have more drama. So I'm going to put this in a pot and grow it in a shady spot in the house. And I'm going to probably increase its height by twice. But one of the things I'll do before I even bring it into the house is I'll wash it off with soapy water and then rinse it.
Why?
Because I don't want to, may as well tell you, if we bring these in, they sometimes get spider mite. So I don't want any of those eggs accompanying it. So I've cleaned it already. It's nice and clean.
Got it.
So that's my big problem with bringing stuff in. You'll also notice that when you pulled it out, there's very little soil left from the outside.
Yep.
And that's important because I don't want anything that may have been put in there by stray creatures.
Other things.
Yes, so, but it has great roots, so I'm quite excited.
So your objective when you bring this indoors is just, it
Get it
doesn't
clean.
grow, it gets, okay. So
It gets
clean
clean, and then it will grow. It will probably double in size over the winter. Yeah, so I'll have dramatic pots.
So you have a nice big pot to transplant that into?
Yes,
Okay,
I
got it.
do. And then what I also dug out was my geraniums. I try to save my geraniums because you spend $5 and $7 and $8 for them.
They're expensive.
So I brought this guy in and I cleaned off as much soil as I could. And then one of the things you'll have to sacrifice is you have to take off the flowers.
Oh, you do?
Yes, because you want it to continue to grow. And they are going to go a bit dormant. So it's not a big deal if you put it somewhere and you maybe forget to water it in the pot. But in January or February, put something in your notebook to remind yourself to start watering them regularly. And what will happen is this will bush and fill right in.
Aha.
So the other thing you could do, and what I like to do, is take cuttings. And I try to find a cutting area, and I use a sharp knife because I don't want to crush the stem. And I'll take it right off, and I've cleaned off, taken a nice clean cut right off
Where's
the
the
stem.
intersection?
Right there, where our leaves join the stem. And I've taken them right off, and you can already see new growth going to come.
Yeah.
And then I take this one off, and I will clean all of the dead leaves off. Now, rooting hormone number 2, and it's a yellow powder.
It's this one?
Yes. And then what you're going to do is you dip it, but you only dip the end. You don't completely cover the stem with rooting hormone. And then you're going to take, and I call this doing dibbing. I'm using my
Is
knife.
that a technical term?
Well, that's an English term.
Oh.
It's a dibber. So what I want to do is I've taken the end of the knife and I've made a bit of a divot in the ground. And then I just take the cutting and I gently press it into place. Now what I will do, and the thing I forgot this morning was the labels. I'm going to take 6 cuttings from this plant.
Yes.
I've got 6 cuttings in here. I'll put a date on here, and I'll write myself a note and tell myself that these are the apple blossom pink geranium.
So you know what's what when you're planting
That's
next
right.
year.
Now, don't forget to give them a good watering, and I will, for about the first 2 weeks they're with me, pull a plastic bag over top of them, clear plastic bag, keep them in the kitchen, they'll start to root, then I'll put them on a shelf in a window, and they'll grow probably double their size.
Set up.
Yes.
I love the, okay, we're out of time, Kat.
Oh, no.
We need to dig into all of the garden things, but this will keep your geraniums and your other plants alive and well into the winter, which will be much longer than the weekend.
Yes.
Andrew Schultz, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.